What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. First off, I want to thank RJ City for this generous time buy on Fightful.com. This is paid programming from RJ City. He has requested this time. He has spent several dollars on this, and we're just giving him a platform to talk. That's what the situation is.
Yeah, well, I have a contemporary jazz album coming out, and I thought it would be a good integration, because if there's anything that wrestling fans like, it's a guy with an oboe.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
And what's the name of the album?
It's just called A Night in the City.
Now, I thought that, like, on talk shows, you know, with the professional setup that we have here, I'm supposed to get, like, an advanced copy, and I listen to it and put it over. I didn't get one of those.
Well, here's where you went wrong originally. 2 weeks ago, you had messaged me, and you had said, do you have any time this week for an interview? And I said, great, fantastic, I'm here, my old buddy, because we did do an interview SummerSlam weekend in Toronto, and it was a hit. You tweet out sometimes, you try to increase your engagement, and you say, what was your favorite interview? Invariably, at least one person will always say, RJ City's Ed Asner interview.
Yeah, of course.
It will always say that. It was a great time. We had a great chemistry back and forth. And I said, well, great. And I told my friends, hey, I'm doing the fella's show again, Getting Sappy, or whatever the name of your program is.
Sappy.
And then week goes by, I hear Bupkis. And then all of a sudden, there's those, you know, the mass releases, all this thing. Next thing I know, you're like, oh, here's my interview with Mike Bennett. Oh, here's my interview with Deonna Purrazzo.
Good interviews, too.
Yeah, now, listen, they are very good interviews. I listen to them. Mike Bennett is delightful. Deonna is delightful. That's not the point. The point is the principle. I was in line. I was set up. I had the week blocked. They pick a number, and they get in the back of the line. Okay? That's what happens.
Okay. Well, you have volleyed to me. You have served, and I will return volley.
Yeah.
What about WrestleCade weekend?
I'll tell you what happened with WrestleCade weekend.
Tell me.
2 words. The first one is David, and the last one is Arquette.
So he screwed up your life.
He's got this wonderful habit of saying, let's get some bookings. What are you drinking there? A Rain, a Bang? Let's do some product placement.
Monster Energy Rehab.
Oh, what a cool guy you are. All right.
It's tea and lemonade with some caffeine.
Hard light. Yeah, for the cool guys. So what happened is David has this habit of, hey, let's get booked. Let's get some bookings. So I will line them up, and I'll be like, this is great. We were going to WrestleCade. We're going to do, you know, we're going to wrestle on the show, and then we're going to do some signing thing. And I was like, this is fantastic. And then next thing I know, he has to cancel because apparently he has another life. And as I was explaining to him, he has the fuck you money, but I don't have the fuck you money. So I get fucked. He's the one fucking me.
So it's funny. I think I may have brought this up to you too. Tony Schiavone has said on his show that for the very little part that he was in Ready to Rumble, which was, I think, a money loser, no disrespect to David, he still gets like $100-150 a year off of that. So I'm like, how much does David Arquette get per year on that? Not just that, but the movies that he made that made money.
Yeah, Scream. How much is he getting from Scream? Listen, I sometimes every couple of years I'll get a check for $50 because I was on a Disney show once.
That's pretty cool.
And if I'm making that, right, I know.
Did you get our royalty check from the interview last year?
Did I what?
Did you get our royalty check that we sent you?
Yes, it was great. You sent me a Stella Artois and said good luck with everything. Yeah.
Would you like a Monster Rehab?
No, what is the blur going on? What fakakta filter are you using?
They can't see the blur. I don't know why that does that. It's an option you can pick on Skype.
Only I can see the blur?
Yes. The people are looking at me right here in the fancy Logitech Brio that never broadcasts in the clarity that it should. You are right here in the non-4K option.
I see.
You get the 1080p.
You look like, it looks like you really don't want me to see the pictures hanging on your wall. Like you have a picture with like Shane McMahon or something where you're all buddy, and you don't want them to see that the jig is up.
No, they're pictures of my hometown. We live in the Clooney family is from my hometown, so there are several like theaters and things that are dedicated to them and some stuff.
You know who's from my hometown?
Wait, what is your hometown?
A little town called Richmond Hill, Ontario, which is basically, it's a suburb of Toronto.
So Is it like the direction of Hamilton and all that stuff?
No, closer. It's basically just on top of Toronto. You can tell people you live in Toronto.
Alomar.
I would love to. No, he's no, you couldn't even spit and hit Roberto Alomar. Very good. Catch the taste. No, he Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
And Trish
Stratus.
Who as you may know, I did have a crafting show. And then we had asked her about coming on, and she declined. So I have heat with Trish Stratus.
Well, that's funny because she did my show.
Yeah. Also, to my knowledge, Chris Jericho declined.
I've not had a show with him.
Yeah. And also, my biggest beef. So those are the two people I have heat with, and they don't know it. My biggest beef is Amy Jo Johnston, the Pink Ranger.
Pink Ranger.
She confirmed we wrote the script, they built the props, and then she canceled. Yeah,
really?
Not a fan of that behavior.
What else does she have going on?
Well, I guess it must have been morphin' time.
R.I.P. Trini, by the way. A lot of people don't know that.
Although I'll tell you who's a really nice guy. David Yost, the Blue Ranger.
The Blue Ranger, yeah.
Yeah. He was a very sweet guy.
You know, if you cut off the hair, I could see some resemblance there.
Well, people tell me sometimes I look like Tommy when he had the hair.
You know what?
Remember he was the White Ranger and he played the flute. Look, maybe now you'll say, oh.
He was a Green Ranger when he played the flute
Ranger.
initially. He had that badass gold vest, too.
Yeah, and then they were like, the hell with it, you're green now.
So also, you mentioned you getting pulled from WrestleCade.
Yeah.
I was going to interview you in Tampa, too. What happened there?
The one time I really get booked for Mania weekend, it collapses upon me. That's what happened.
Same. It's
horrible.
Terrible. Actually,
I was supposed to wrestle Joey Effie at Joey Ryan's penis party. I was going to be a judge at the Body Guy Extravaganza. I was going to judge the debate. Who better than me to judge Brian Cage and Scott Steiner? I mean, I've already judged them privately, but now I would have to do it with a scorecard in front of my hands, you know?
And I'm sure you were going to watch my event and my match just as a fan, as an admirer of my work.
Oh, yes. I was going to watch, what was it called? A Tall Drink of Water. Time.
I had no say over that or who was on the show. I was going to do a Brawl for All match.
Yes.
I'm sure that would not have been a trash fire in any way, shape, or form.
But this is where we're at. We're going for the trash fire. And then it's almost like if you have a good match, everyone's like, that's not what we were hoping for.
Yeah, and I can't reveal. I guess I can reveal what I pitched. What I pitched was...
Why not?
For after the match, because I'm so famous at this point, I would want to face somebody more famous than me. Someone who had been on Raw or SmackDown, and Barry Horowitz was going to come out and beat me.
Oh, that's great.
He's from the Tampa area. You don't have to fly him in. You don't have to lodge the guy.
Yeah.
But I had talked to him, and I was trying to get it pushed through. Didn't quite, but hey, the event got canceled. And so did our interview, which you tried to big time me on. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time for all that.
I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't say that. I said I need to know what my schedule is. I don't want to say yes and then, whatever. But now that we're coming out with WrestleMania weekend plans that never happened, I was booked for the WrestleMania after party. I was going to sing Ave Maria to open the soiree there. And of course, it never happened.
And,
so I did get my deposit, and I'm keeping it. But
who would have sang that with you? Pat Patterson?
No, you know what? Gerald Briscoe is. A lot of people say he's a shooter, but he's also a hell of a baritone.
I spoke to him today.
And how's he doing?
He got furloughed.
Yes.
So not great.
No.
But he says that he's got a lot of options. He seemed very happy, and also he said, "Thank you for your friendship," which is the kindest thing anybody has ever said to me in my life.
Sweet. And would you consider yourself friends with him? Or you're just going by what he said?
First time we ever spoke.
So, you know what? You just got to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, "How are you?" It means the world.
I don't have his number. It was through Twitter DM. By the way.
Yeah.
You know that Mick Foley doesn't own a cell phone?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Because every time I open for him, when he does his stand-up show, he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your phone?"
Really?
I said, "Excuse, are you Am I opening for you, sir? Yeah, I feel like he is a guy who would lose it and not enjoy the buttons. I think he has an iPad, though.
Yeah, he's got something like that because I interviewed him in Chicago, and I hit him up, and I was like, hey, man, I'd love to do an interview with you. And he's like, okay, we got 15 solid minutes, and I want to go check out Tony Schiavone's show. And I'm like, wow, I see where I am on the totem pole. But me and my cameraman go to his hotel room, which is right around the corner from where we're doing the interview.
Yeah.
And he hobbles to the door, and he goes, do you guys happen to know where the ice machine is? And he rattles it like, if you all don't find this fucking ice machine, it's going to take me 12 of these 15 minutes to do so you better do it. But it's Mick Foley, so he's nice. And then he's cooling this very green shake. He's like, have you guys ever drank one of these before? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And he goes,
was he a Herbalife salesman?
Must have been. He goes, you are acutely aware that you're drinking something healthy when you drink this. And I'm like, all right, rock it. And they told me he was supposed to do a thing with MJF, but he's like, I don't know how I could have gotten out of it looking good. And I was like, that's the point. You do it. You get the extra payday, Mick. I had to coach that kid Mick on the business. Yeah,
just break off a hunk of your reputation and sell it for the highest price you can.
Exactly. I've been doing that for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he and I had a great promo duel where we sang show tunes.
Did you all do one at the Rec Room? Or was
God, I have no idea. No. We did. I opened for him in like New York and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then he came to do other indie shows in Toronto.
I think it was maybe Ziggler and somebody else that performed at the Rec Room or something.
Yeah, Zack Ryder, all that stuff. They don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Zack Ryder's not real masters of the art, so to speak.
Well, I don't know. I've seen it. I like it. I think they're fun people. I don't think they're hitting the witticisms that I am. Let me just put it like this. I don't think they should be interviewed before me.
Fair. And you know what? I didn't interview either one of them before you, although I did reach out to Zack Ryder. My boss spent, I don't know, thousands of dollars buying an action figure from Zack Ryder.
And? Is he happy with it?
It's a naked Miss Elizabeth LJN figure.
Oh, good. You know what? Like, 12-year-old me would have enjoyed that furiously.
Well, there were a lot of 40-year-old someones hitting him up saying, hey, post the picture. Let me see the picture.
Like, what do you think? It's going to have nipples? It's not going to have nipples.
I don't know.
What's wrong with you? By the way, did you happen to see the clip that I tweeted last night?
No, I didn't. What was it?
Well, you're going to need to go look. It's a clip of Randy Savage on Regis and Kathy Lee.
I think I've seen that.
And they did a remote show from Detroit, and Kathy Lee is like, how's Miss Elizabeth? And he's like, bottom line, we got a divorce. And everyone's like, oh, yeah. And then, but he's like, I love her with all my heart and whatever. And Regis is like, oh, I'm stunned. I'm sorry to hear that. And then Regis is like, he's got to move it along, right? So he's like, but you'll still be here later for the Macho Men of Motown fashion show, right? It is by far just like the craziest clip of anything I've ever seen in my life.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it is so weird. It's blowing up. No, it's so weird. People are like, I've never seen this before. And neither have I. You would think if there was a Regis Randy Savage crossover, I would have seen it years ago.
I felt like I had seen something from that interview, but not that, because I had never heard of that before.
No, it's very bizarre. And then I watched the fashion show. Not that bad.
So I have a couple of important questions. Have I become the most famous person you know now?
Absolutely not. Based on what? You got your hair cut once and then people got mad about it?
Yeah, people did get mad. That was real weird. I mean, I'm just saying, you told me like Mario Cantone at one point.
Yes. I'm sorry, were you nominated for a Tony?
I've got like way more Twitter followers than Mario Cantone.
You have a local daytime Emmy?
I should. Well, John Alba has an Emmy, and he was going to manage me at Serve Tall.
Oh, wow. And people have tried to book Mario to either manage for me or be a guest ring announcer, and I think he wants a price that is not conceivable on the indie scene, as he deserves. Yeah, which just speaks to how low people get paid on the indies.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say I'm not the most famous person you know. What am I trending towards it at least? Like as far as people from where they were in August to the I'll release this interview in May, but we're at the end of April here. I've got to be trending, right?
I mean, you're certainly headed up. I think your curve has flattened a little bit.
Oh.
I mean, I think next week I have Deshaun 2 cents. So maybe if you bring some cachet. The other thing is, you don't know the hot tub guy. You know who I'm talking about. He lives in LA, the PWG hot tub guy.
I don't know him.
Oh, get with it. You'll see a picture and you'll know exactly who he is.
Okay.
But the thing is, and I'm having the issue, as you know, I go live at least once a week. It's just like now everyone has migrated over and everyone has a show now. Like literally like Wendy Williams is doing her talk show just like you are now. Like we're on the same playing field for some reason.
Should I
and
eat
it turns
some
out
beef jerky while I do this? Because that's what Wendy does. And she's like, oh, if you don't like me eating, then you shouldn't watch this show. I'm like, you probably just shouldn't eat for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like you should be eating before. Like, what are you doing before?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a
what time
weird
do you
thing.
get up? Is my question.
So far, what do you want the headline of this interview to be?
RJ shoots on the Pink Ranger, I think should be the headline.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. You need the clicks, right?
I do. That's what people say that I do this for. So I'm doing that. And I try to get people to bury other people, specifically you on occasion, because I thought it would be funny to do a RJ City reacts to being buried thing. But everybody likes you, and they won't, except for Alicia Atut. She buried you.
Well, yeah, but she has her own problems. She's certainly, for someone who doesn't like me, she's certainly not above using me for content.
Fair.
You know, she can't hate me that much.
AJ Gray said he's never met you, but you seem like a really nice guy, so he's not going to bury you.
Sweet. Yeah. Danhausen?
Yeah, Danhausen buried you. Danhausen buried you.
Yeah.
What do you think about Danhausen?
That's kind of his thing. I think he's a wonderful, unique individual. I have questions, and I'm worried about his skin. Because every time I see him, he's wearing the makeup. Can't be good for the pores. It looks like grease paint. It's terrible.
I'm just trying to get into skincare, and now you have me a little bit worried about him.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Oh, yeah, you missed the boat. I think like 31 is the cutoff. If you're not moisturizing by 31, you're done. These last 3 years have really taken its toll on you, and it's not going to be pretty.
They have. I did look a lot younger before I got this job. Who else? I think I asked Ethan Page, and I don't think he buried you. I think he was respectful.
Yes.
But a fellow Canadian, he's from the area, the same area you are.
Do you think people are afraid that I may say something in response?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend like you're not good at saying things. You're very good at speaking about things.
Right. So, I mean, I'm sure people would rather punch me than have to tweet me.
It seems easier.
Yeah. It definitely is. If anyone's interested in winning, just punch me in the face, believe me.
Admittedly, when I met you, I was like, damn, this dude's way taller than I thought.
Right. Sarah Shockey once said, I tweet smaller than I am.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks.
Yep. She's a real analyst, real color. She's the David Otunga of the indie scene.
Actually, I love her commentary.
She's not bad at all.
The first time I heard
interviewer.
Admittedly, the first time I heard her, I was like, Veda Scott's doing great on commentary, though. And I misattributed it because they have very similar voices. But then
I think the headline to this should be Sean Ross Sapp says all women sound the same. Oh, I think that should be the headline of this article.
I now have a hobby where I basically, anytime I'm in the Chicago area, I play my own version of Pokemon where I take candid photos of Sarah and then send them to her, which is also not creepy at all.
Mm-hmm. I think the deck line of that article should be Sean Ross Sapp takes photos of Sarah Shockey without her consent. Yes. I think the real 1-2 punch.
She definitely consents. Sometimes I think she sends them back to me, or she finds me and returns it. Okay, what will your eventual Dark Side of the Ring episode be about?
Oh, other than my heat with Trish and Chris Jericho for not making crafts with me.
And Danhausen.
And Chris Jericho
Alicia.
narrates Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
And, well, yeah, that I know. And, also Chris has followed me on Twitter and Instagram. I don't think he's liked anything.
Ooh.
And it frightens. So sometimes you have to go check. You ever have like a person who's like a really famous follow, and then after every couple of weeks, you'll check to make sure they're still following you?
P. Diddy still follows me after all these years.
Right. You just want to check. You just want to DM him and be like, Sean, is everything okay?
I did think about one time being like, hey, let's talk about those random-ass WWE appearances you did. I did that with Pac-Man Jones, too. I was like, hey, Pac-Man, do you want to do an interview about your TNA run? And he got right back to me and said, of course I do. And we never did it.
That's the way to do it. Is you instead of seeming disinterested or just ignoring, you seem interested, and then you just assume Pac-Man's really busy. He's not busy. He's doing what I'm doing. He's doing what you're doing. He's doing nothing right now.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it's great. We'll circle back around, and then you just never message them.
What does RJ stand for?
Raul Julia.
Okay. Are you still a heel?
According to myself, yes. I mean, I haven't really turned baby yet. I don't think the time is right. But people are having a real hard time understanding what that means. People are buying my shirts. They're tweeting me saying, I love you. Let me watch your video. I want you to get signed. No. This is not the way it works. You're not playing your role correctly as a fan. It's a show. It's a work. I'm a heel. So please, if I could, put it out there in the world, please stop cheering me. That would be a good headline. RJ does not want to be cheered.
Speaking of people I wanted to bury you, but I forgot, I talked to Gregory Iron recently. And he's awesome. But he obviously has a pretty big hurdle to leap in that he's a heel sometimes, but he's got cerebral palsy. And he said that he kind of likes the challenge of making people be like, should I boo this guy? Am I a bad person for booing this guy? And I think that's like next level mental warfare to really get inside somebody's head and make them question whether or not they're the asshole for booing the asshole. And you team with him here and there.
Yes, as handcrafted. It's the name of the team.
That's pretty good. Pretty
good.
Who do you think's selling more shirts right now, you or Gregory Iron?
Well, I think he's selling more shirts. And I'm okay with that because, sometimes he switches. But I'm a heel. I'm a heel all the way. Even when he and I feuded and we ended up having a death match where both of us died. As a death match, should entail. There should be some death involved. You're selling it straight up front. Both of us passed away. We came back as ghosts, and then we won the tag titles.
And he's rocking the CM Punk endorsement, too. He can ride with that forever if he wants. Meanwhile,
I got the Cantone endorsement.
Well,
with CM Punk nominated for a Tony, CM Punk held a belt that some guy told him he could hold.
But Chris Jericho, Trish Stratus, and the Pink Ranger have all... What's the opposite? They've condemned you, so to speak.
Yeah, basically. Snubbed.
Snubbed you. There you go.
Snubbed me. Yeah. It hurts. It hurts a lot.
You snubbed me last week. I pitched the idea of you and I competing for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships.
Yeah.
And you shot hard, as they say on the internet.
Yeah. Yes. And as I should have, because I was upset. I was personally offended. And then you tried to be all buddy-buddy and be like, hey, it's all work, brother. I'm like, no, man. This isn't the way it works. You're not a guy named Jim. This is not what goes on here.
Not a guy named Jim. What am I missing here?
What? There's one guy named Jim who shoots on people, and then we'll go, oh, it's all a work.
I don't remember.
Oh, well.
Jim who?
Jim Cornette.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That guy?
Okay, yeah.
That guy named Jim. Do you think I'm talking about Duggan?
Maybe Neidhart did that? R.I.P.?
No. Oh, I'm sure a lot of people would do the classic old school, just destroy a person and then be like, by the way, it's all work. I broke your nose, but it's work.
I've never had any experiences with Jim Cornette. I talked to him at a signing once, and this is before I really got into writing, and I asked him to help me with, I think, a Muhammad Hassan feature I did, and he Pac-Man Jones'd me, as we would call it. He said, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, he'll say, let's circle back around.
And my boss offered him in 2017 an insane amount of money to just do a debate with Vince Russo. It was a complete publicity stunt. And Jim said that he would rather be standing over Vince's head with a ball bat, beating his brains to grape jelly, than to take like 10 grand to debate a guy. Yeah,
so I'm sure if you made it 13, he would change his mind.
Yeah,
that's called bargaining. I know I had only one Twitter exchange with him, and it's because he was using the analogy of theater, and he was using it incorrectly. And I feel like as the theater representative for wrestling, I had to stand up because he's talking to people who, you know, the closest thing to Broadway they've seen is Georgia Championship Wrestling. So they don't know it, so he can misuse it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have to step up. Theater does and can break the fourth wall all the time. You do not know what you're talking about. And then he got upset, but in a way where he just vomited insults that didn't really add up to anything. He was just like a soundboard of insults. And I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense. I think we're good here. Yet, very interestingly enough, he recently blocked Gregory Iron, yet he hasn't blocked me. So Greg is trying to figure out why he blocked him. I was like, well, it can't be, has nothing to do with me. I guess I'm good.
Gregory Iron got blocked by Hulk Hogan, too, and he's a big Hulk Hogan fan, he told me.
Yeah. So that's about, I mean, he does do a podcast where he reveals Hulk Hogan's lie of the week.
That's pretty great. I just told him racist, and he blocked me. So
fair enough.
I mean, do you know how uniquely racist you have to be when your son almost kills a guy? And, like, you get on the phone in the jail and you go, hope we don't get reincarnated into a black family, brother. I'm like, whoop. Huh?
Yeah, it was this, and it had no segue.
No.
At least have a good segue. Yeah, and I made that cartoon about him, about how I taught him the leg drop and ripping his shirt off, and he hasn't blocked me yet.
I can confirm you did not teach him racism.
Yes, I was in, all the good parts were mine.
Yes, fair.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have gotten that booking with Impact Wrestling.
Oh, I feel like we could have too. I didn't want it because I have certain requirements in my contract. And one is, as you know, anyone who wants to sign me, I have to provide one Cobb salad. And all the people who have talked to me about working for them have offered me contracts. Nowhere on page 13, it does not say Cobb salad.
I don't know if they do catering.
Well, they should do catering. And also, they do catering or not, it's not my business. Get me a Cobb salad.
People will definitely act like they'll wait until the 28.5-minute mark, and they'll hear me say that, and then they'll report that I said that they didn't do catering.
Let me say, I have been to an Impact taping before, and they did have excellent catering. I will give them that. I need you to retract your statement. Was that in Canada? That was in Canada. Maybe it was good old-fashioned Canadian catering. Yet, not one Cobb to be seen. And, that's why I can't sign with people under those circumstances. I feel like if I went to Canada, if I had to add something, it would be a good sweet tea in Canada, which is impossible to find in Canada. Nobody knows what that is. Nobody. You say iced tea, and it's like Lipton Brisk. That's what we have. We don't have the unsweet tea, so there is no need to say sweet tea. We only have sweet tea. I met my boss for the first time, and I was like, do they have, at the restaurant we were at, and I was like, do they have sweet tea? And he goes, of course. And they bring out this filtered dirt water. Yeah. Then the next time they brought out something that was like vaguely sweet, it resembled the idea of sweet. Then the third time, this place brought me out a cup of piping hot tea on a plate. Piping hot tea. Oh, wow. The pipes were hot. Yeah. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I Canada is kind of like a stunt double for the United States. We're like, if you're moving through it very quickly, you're like, this is the exact same thing. But if you slow down and take a second to look at certain individual things, you'll realize, well, this makes no sense at all.
Yes. And I had somebody say, explain sweet tea to us then if it's not right. And I'm like, well, have you ever had purple drink? Because this is just brown drink. It is a sweetened brown drink that is not really from the plant. It's not really from tea leaves. It ain't. It's not that. Huh.
Yeah.
So what do you got going on, RJ?
I like Sean shoots on Canada. I think that's a good headline.
I love Canada. I would gladly relocate to Canada if, let's see, what would have to change? They would have to change their weather patterns.
Yes.
They would have to stop traffic for me because I don't do traffic. I racked up like $400 in Uber.
Maybe I could make a call to Carl DeMarco and see if he can hook you up with a little job.
He's the guy to talk to.
Yeah, he controls everything Canadian.
I don't like apostrophes and names, so no, you can't talk to him. We would only be able to.
I think it's Carl like D-E Marco. Are you looking it up?
I'm looking it
up. We're gonna get clicks. It's gonna be on Carl DeMarco.
You know what? I'm okay with the space in the name. It's Carl space Marco. But if we went to Impact Wrestling, we could only deal with Don Callis. I'm not talking to Scott D'Amore. He's got the apostrophe. Also, you're taking the North's finish, not me. Because let's be real, we're not winning the match.
That's fine. No, look, nobody needs to win anymore. It's not a thing that people do.
Yeah.
I'm a heel. I got to win on top of it. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll put you over. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I'll lie down. It's not a big deal.
You take their crazy-ass finish where one throws the other one into the air and then they slam the guy down. I got a little bit of the stenosis, so let's just we'll ride with you on that one.
Yeah, sounds good.
I can do a lot of cool hand gestures, though. So.
Oh, great.
I'm great with hand gestures.
Fun. Yes.
What else you got going on, RJ City?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, no, you're the host. You should set me up here.
I should set you up.
You shouldn't just point a gun at my head and be like, "What else you got going on?"
What should I do?
Don't you have notes? What are in your notes?
My notes? Well, they were all about me.
Mm-hmm.
One is, how have I changed your life for the better? Because I feel like I have. In fact, I know I have.
I'll tell you something. That interview was really like a bat signal to a lot of perverts out there.
Yeah.
That last one we did was really like a hello.
Do you think that we started the OnlyFans revolution in wrestling?
No, that was started years and years ago. I remember I was just telling someone this morning about, remember how Sonny and Missy Hyatt had like their own like OnlyFans? Like it used to be just like a site.
They had to pay like server bills and stuff.
Yeah, that was a heavy duty operation. And then OnlyFans came along and basically Ubered the process, technologically speaking. You know?
That's a good point. I just like to take credit for things that might vaguely resemble things that we talk about. So
I'm too sexually open, and I think that's much to my the dismay of my wallet. I mean, Sunday mornings I'm in my underwear, and I'm talking about Ed Asner and ass eating at the drop of a hat. What do you need to sign up for?
Did you talk with Steve Austin about ass eating? How does he feel about it?
No, but we talked. You know what? Let me tell you something. Tommy Dreamer has an incredible Ed Asner story.
Really?
Yeah, a really, really good one, because they did a movie together a couple years ago.
Oh.
And Ed Asner, well, whatever. You're not going to interview him. Is he on your list coming up? I'll tell the story.
Ed Asner or Tommy Dreamer?
Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer drops into my DMs randomly and will be like, I don't understand your tweet.
Well, get him to retell this story at some point. So he was talking to Ed Asner, and Ed Asner knew he was a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he said, Ed Asner went to school with Bob Orton.
Oh, wow.
And he said, oh, his son's a wrestler too. And Tommy was like, yeah, he's like the world champion, blah, 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 blah. Like Randy's great. And Ed Asner's like, what do you mean? His son's name is Bob. And it turns out Ed Asner went to school with Bob Orton Sr. And he was talking about Bob Orton Jr.
That is phenomenal. And
but Ed Asner would be a good guest. He was in that movie, the original The Wrestler movie.
Do you know who I tried to get an interview with a couple weeks ago? Not you.
Delta Burke.
Do you remember Wrestlelicious?
Yes. Ooh, Wrestlelicious, baby. Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
I tried to get an interview with the kid who won the lottery and started that.
Yes.
And
that was great. I know people who did that, and they were like, oh, it's a pretty good payday.
Yeah, he paid way too much money, and their social media is, like, still active. Like, they're still updating it all the time. So I hit it up, and I was like, hey, can I interview this guy? And they're like, well, he's doing good, which is great that you hear that a lottery winner is doing good. But they're like, he's not doing interviews anymore. And I said, rats. And we didn't get to do the interview. Jimmy Hart follows me, so I wonder if I should do one with him. But I don't think he would even remember that.
You know what? Jimmy Hart is 100% like ready to go. He's the ultimate pro. We did a movie together, and to my understanding, he only ate dinner. But it was like a tremendous meal. He would eat a lot at dinner, but he would only eat then. Never wanted anything to eat, never wanted anything to drink, but he was just like, you don't even need to turn the camera on. He's like cutting promos constantly.
You know, that's probably why his physique looks so much like Herschel Walker's. They both do the 1 meal a day thing. It's like Herschel Walker, Ricky Steamboat, Jimmy Hart. Those three guys. They are the OGs of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I also heard Sid Caesar was an intermittent faster. And you may remember, and I'm going to fill you, I'll back up the reference. It's fine. Sid Caesar played the old man who won the lotto, or who won the gambling ticket at the end of Vegas Vacation.
I'm trying to think of what, like, that had to have been like the last thing he was in.
That was absolutely the last thing he did. He had really the first sketch show on television, like in the black and white days.
Okay. Because I don't know who that is. And I think I don't know who that is.
Let me put it like this. He's so old that he like gave Mel Brooks his first writing job.
Hey, you know what? I just looked him up. He was Coach Calhoun in Greece.
Yes. Long distance running. Cross country running. Yes.
More importantly, he was Coach Calhoun in Greece too.
Mm-hmm. Because that's, you know what? If you look at Greece and you say, if we're going to do this again, who do we keep? You say Didi Khan, who played Frenchie, and you say Coach Calhoun.
There are all those movies, especially in the 2000s, when you could go straight to DVD with a lot of things, where they would keep, like, the Shermanator in the American Pie movies.
Right.
And they would keep the dad, who was just around. Like, the kid, Eugene Levy, like, he was just around. I was like, why?
Tremendously talented. And then he was working with Steve Martin for a while. They did Bringing Down the House. And I think he was also in Cheaper by the Dozen too.
I got a bone
I think
to pick
with Eugene?
With Steve Martin.
I've been trying to get him canceled.
Well, he played a dad until literally he couldn't play a dad anymore. And then, like, after the first movie, I think it was Cheaper by the Dozen too, where they're like, he's a granddad. He was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to stop acting now. Now that I can't play the dad anymore.
My favorite thing that Steve Martin does is, like, when he comes out on stage and he's like, he's been so funny for so long that he's like beyond being funny now. Mm-hmm. Like, he can't even be bothered. So he'll say like a shitty joke and he'll do it on purpose because he's like, I'm so funny that I'm just going to burn a bad joke because, like, whatever. He'll just be like, he'll come out the banjo and be like, I'm very tired today. And then it'll be like 8 minutes of applause. And you're like, what? That was nothing. That was nothing at all.
I never thought he was funny.
Oh, he was very funny. I mean, he was the first stand-up guy that I know of to play arenas, stadiums, that kind of popularity, and some really good movies, and then quite a few bad ones.
I feel like he was the Charles Bronson, not the Richard Bronson, Charles Bronson of playing dad roles. Because Charles Bronson played the badass until he was like 75, 80. Like 10 to Midnight, 10 to Midnight 2, and all that stuff.
Right.
I feel like that was Steve Martin. And by the time Cheaper by the Dozen came out, I'm like, man, you're relying on giggles from the little girl from the Missy Elliott video or whatever the hell that was. Like, you're not the star anymore, Steve.
What helped him elongate his dad role career was the early gray hair.
Yeah.
because it was indeterminate. He could be 40, he could be 65. No one's really sure.
To me, I think that was the opposite. That's why I was like, bro, stop playing the dad. You've had the white hair forever. We're not fooled anymore.
Right.
Like, here's the thing. Ryan Reynolds can play Deadpool for 30 more years because you don't have to see what he really looks like. It's makeup and a voice and all that. But when you see the white hair, I know that dude is not 40-something years old.
Right.
And it pisses me off.
Well, and I think Sean Ross Sapp shoots on Steve Martin needs to be the title of this video.
It's hard to top the Pink Ranger thing, man.
No, I know. I just tried to get Steve Martin canceled. He posted videos of him playing the banjo, and I'll retweet it and go, aren't we canceling this guy? And then people get really mad and be like, why? What did he do? It's like, no, you can't cancel him. I just tried. I thought that's how it worked sometimes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Steve Martin isn't as culturally relevant even as the Pink Ranger. The Power Rangers even had that Toys That Made Us episode that came out recently.
Yes, and I had all the Bandai line.
I did too.
Good stuff.
Where they had the heads flipped.
Yes, and I also had the glove. I had one of the gloves, and you would go, and it would make a chopping sound.
Yes, it would. It would. Did it sound like, I think one had like a sword sound even. And I was like, what? And it had the little buttons and the fingers, I think.
It was a hell of an operation.
It was. It was. So you've got your YouTube channel. You're always reviewing things. And I mean everything. Yes.
I did. I reviewed the trailer to David Arquette's documentary, which I'm in. And we were supposed to go to South by Southwest for the premiere. And then after it, at the after party, it was supposed to be me and David against Joey Ryan and Effie. Oh. And what was better than that? And his sister were going to be there, who I was excited to meet because like he's obviously the worst of the Arquettes. So it was going to be a big deal for me. And then South by Southwest was like the first thing to get canceled. And we're like, gee, that's horrible. And then everything else fell after it. Yes.
So that's a bummer because South by Southwest is huge.
Yeah, and then the film, what happens with the film, how they distribute a movie now, I don't understand. But I'm sure, obviously, everyone will see it at the right moment. I don't know how these things work. Yes.
Did you ever
get paid for it? No.
Did you ever see, by the way? I think it was Alexis Arquette that was on The Surreal Life. Did you see her connection with Maven, where Maven almost slammed someone's head off the ground for picking on Alexis? Yes.
And from what I've heard, Alexis can hold her own in a fight. Yeah. I would not. All the Arquettes have that crazy gene, as you've seen when David wrestles, where he does not mind hurting himself.
That was the thing. When I saw the Nick Gage thing, and I saw, David a little bit uncomfortable, you see that physical reaction in him, and he's like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah.
And he throws that back. I get the feeling Alexis was like, pardon me, homeboy from QVC. I don't need your help. Go sell some baseball cards.
Yeah, no, Alexis could certainly hold her own. By the way, one of my favorite Surreal Life seasons is the one with Bronson Pinchot.
Oh, yeah. I love that
Perfect
show.
Strangers fame. It was a great show. And also, I feel like it can't come back now because it is mainstream pop culture.
Yeah.
The most popular guy in the world right now is that guy with no neck from 90 Day Fiancé.
I think my favorite moment was when Tammy Faye Baker had no idea who Vanilla Ice was. So they played Ice Ice Baby after she had known him for 2 weeks in the house. And she's like, what? This is you? And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then, do you remember who was rumored for the ill-fated 4th season?
Jim Powers?
Randy Savage, not far off.
Oh, wow. Somebody I just watched the full episode of him on Hollywood Squares.
Oh, my.
And he was in his Be a Man phase.
Oh, yeah.
And he was sitting next to Bear in the Big Blue House. He was sitting next to Bear.
I feel like that would go over so much better today with Spotify and SoundCloud. But when people... I mean, I guess they didn't have to. Napster was around, I guess, but you got to risk the quality of your computer to download this stuff. I feel like when people had to go out and buy a physical copy of Be a Man, it didn't quite go over as well.
No, it was asking a lot of people.
Also, Crush was his bodyguard for a while. Do you remember that?
Yeah, as he should be, who had a great song on the WrestleMania album, Divin', Surfin', Surfin', Divin'. Whatever that was excellent.
My God. Tell the people where they can buy your stuff.
ProWrestlingTees.com/RJ City. There's a bevy of apparel. And also, if you can just Google my name, and a bunch of things will come up. If you want, you gotta have a cameo. You can see me on Sundays and just throw money at me like some people tend to do, which is great. It's like OnlyFans, which is true because only my fans are watching.
I'm digging the YouTube super chats. And I know you've got those gimmicks running right now, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Oh, and they are super.
They are. Okay, one more bone I have to pick with you. Your Twitter handle. Why are you RJ City 1? Because
RJ City is some girl who hasn't tweeted in 8 years, and they will not. I've applied to get it switched. You can't really do that. You have to report them as an inactive account, and then you have to wait. What? And then you have to wait for them to cancel, and then hopefully you can scoop it up.
Yeah, she has one tweet 12 years
ago. What is it? Well, read the tweet.
From Rio de Janeiro. I don't speak Portuguese. I did try to learn, but it says, launch of RJ City on Twitter. Get to know firsthand the news of the most karaoke island in Second Life.
Yeah. So the problem is RJ City is shorthand for Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I really screwed myself on that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I sometimes get people that they'll send me if they see something SRS. I've gotten a couple things where people are angry about their airbags because they're SRS airbags.
Yes.
But I'm like, you tweeted a Sean Ross Sapp account. This isn't at SRS or anything. So other than that, I don't really get
Have you ever reached out to Bob Sapp for an interview?
Bob Sapp reached out to me and threatened to sue me once.
Oh, but would he grant you an interview at least?
Kind of. He wanted me to fly him on my dime.
Yeah.
And his handler, so to speak.
He's in the States though now, right?
He was in Japan. He was in Japan. To talk about domestic abuse allegations that he says were unfounded, which we ran the story of the allegations, not of anything else, because she had filed a police report. And he was constant in my inbox for about a month and a half. And then my boss was like, yeah, just stop replying to him. And we did, and we never heard from him again. Which, by the looks of his 10 most recent fights, I should have just had him over and kicked his ass. But I mean...
He was also incredibly charismatic, I must say. Some of those guys, like a bigger guy or a fighter, they'll give the leeway where it's you're not really that charismatic, but we'll pretend you are because you're good at fighting. He was amazing. And I think now, if I can convince you of anything during this interview, is that now is the time to reach out Sapp to Sapp and make amends with this man.
So my dad used to have to go to Japan. My dad is a large man. He's 6'4", but he's also very white. And he said that when he was in Japan, he got asked about a half dozen times if he was related to Bob Sapp.
Yes, anyone who's large.
Yes.
They would just assume.
And he was bald and he had a goatee. So it's maybe they thought,
Maybe. They don't know how that works.
I'm surprised Bob Sapp doesn't do any more bookings besides being one of those Boppo dolls that gets punched and falls over type of thing. It feels like he could get some paydays here and there.
I thought he was a funny guy. He was very Terry Crews-ish in his intensity, right? Similar kind of vibe. I thought he was funny. I thought he could have a decent acting career. And maybe he does. You're in Japan. You can do things that are wildly successful, and then you don't hear about them here.
I know he did a lot of commercials. He's done... I think he fought again in a couple years ago, 2018, which he fights all the time. It's just... one time a year, and he goes to places that don't have athletic commissions. That way, when he throws the fights, they can't sanction him or anything. But
it's a savvy business move.
Yeah, he was one of like 6 wrestling world champions in the longest yard, along with Goldberg, Steve Austin, Kevin Nash, and Great Khali.
Yeah, Adam Sandler was like, let's just get as many as we can.
And now AEW wisely uses it as a lead-in on TNT. It's like you're using Steve Austin as a lead-in? It's pretty solid.
Yeah, very clever.
Any other stuff you want to get out there into the world that I didn't bring up because I am not a good journalist?
Well, just if you want me to sign somewhere, they got to put up a Cobb salad. People tweet me all the time, and I'm like, these are the rules, guys. Get it together. I think that's fairly straightforward. Other than that, who knows when we'll be back? Is this business dead? Can somebody tell me? I'm acting like it is, just in case.
The indie wrestling might be dead.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there are always those psychotic indie promoters that are like, I don't care. I'm running anyway.
And those are the people who I want to pay me. Those are the people I trust with my life. You know what? The good thing is, whether I'm wrestling or not, I bump the same amount of time, so it doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm like, okay, I'll just cut a promo to a camera instead of a live crowd. We're good. We got it. Same stuff.
Guys, check out RJ's stuff. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, all that good stuff. Go do that on his channel too. You might regret it, but at least you can say that you did it.
Yeah, you did it, and you can add it to your resume.
Until next time, guys, we're out.